Tiffany Henyard, who was appointed to that position tonight, lost her bid for the Democratic Party's nomination in this rare
18 months after our first WGN Investigates report on questionable spending by South Suburban politician Tiffany Henyard, it appears she has been...
Tiffany Henyard, the embattled mayor of Dolton, Illinois, and former supervisor of Thornton Township, finds herself once again at the center of political chaos as her career is seemingly on the brink of collapse. Known for her controversial actions and public outbursts, Henyard's recent struggles have thrown her political future into question, with her name removed from the Democratic ballot and facing multiple legal challenges. Many people are left wondering if this is the end of her political career or merely a temporary setback before a potential comeback. The drama reached new heights during a recent Democratic caucus in Homewood, Illinois, where Henyard was fighting to maintain her position as township supervisor for the first time in 30 years. A caucus was used instead of a primary to select candidates for leadership roles in Thornton Township. This event was held at the Homewood Flossmoor Park District Auditorium and drew hundreds of political hopefuls and community members, all eager to see who would be nominated for the coveted leadership positions. However, as the event began, it became apparent that Henyard's path to nomination was far from certain. According to the caucus rules, a candidate for township supervisor was required to have the support of at least 8 people, including key positions such as highway director, clerk, assessor, and trustees. Henyard, however, had not secured a certified assessor, which led to her disqualification. As a result, her name was excluded from the Illinois ballot as a Democratic candidate for supervisor, a significant blow to her political ambitions. State. Senator Napoleon Harris, who also served as a Thornton Township Democratic committeeman, had already taken charge of the caucus and effectively ended Henyard's chances by overseeing a tightly controlled nomination process. The situation quickly turned tense, with Henyard vocally accusing Harris of orchestrating an unfair and unlawful procedure. "You did not run any of this the right way," she angrily told him during the proceedings. Her emotional outburst was not the end of the drama. Instead of quietly leaving the auditorium after her disqualification, Henyard remained defiant, vowing to fight back against what she deemed an unjust process. She claimed that logistical issues such as her supporters, many of them senior citizens, arriving late and being unable to enter the venue due to a 600-person capacity limit were part of a larger conspiracy to thwart her chances. Henyard insisted that her representatives had been deliberately excluded, framing the entire caucus as a rigged system designed to deny her the opportunity to participate. Her claims of a conspiratorial plot to sabotage her candidacy were further supported by Henyard's assertion that she would pursue legal action against everyone involved in the decision, including those who orchestrated the caucus. "I will sue," she vowed, presenting her disqualification as an example of a political system rigged against her and her supporters. Henyard's legal team echoed her sentiments, arguing that her slate of candidates had been unfairly disqualified. They contended that the caucus rules had been selectively applied, a claim that only intensified the legal battle. On the opposing side, Harris's lawyer refuted Henyard's accusations, asserting that the caucus had followed all regulations and had been planned well in advance. They emphasized that all procedures were followed according to the established rules and that Henyard's disqualification was in line with the guidelines. Harris, who had organized the caucus and moved the process from a primary system to a caucus format, defended his actions as part of his duty as committeeman. He argued that the transition to the caucus system was designed to streamline the nomination process and remove the need for a large public election. This move, while legal and procedural, was seen by Henyard's supporters as a strategic effort to undermine her political standing. For Henyard, the change in procedure represented more than just a logistical shift. It was a direct attack on her ability to challenge Harris's political machine. She insisted that the new rules were a deliberate attempt to silence her and quash the momentum of her political base, particularly among the senior citizens who had rallied to her cause. In Henyard's view, this was not just a debate over caucus rules, but a broader political struggle for power, with her and her supporters caught in the crossfire. The growing conflict between Henyard and Harris symbolized a larger battle for control of Thornton Township and, by extension, the local Democratic Party. Henyard accused Harris and his allies of using their influence to rig the system in their favor, stifling the will of the people. As the situation unfolded, it became clear that this was not merely a dispute over procedural fairness. It was a high-stakes battle for political legitimacy. Despite the mounting challenges, Henyard remained resolute, determined to press on in her quest for justice. Her lawyer promised to take the case to court, accusing Harris and his team of manipulating the process to prevent Henyard from taking part in the democratic process. Meanwhile, Henyard's supporters rallied behind her, believing that the caucus had been rigged from the start and that their candidate had been unfairly excluded from the race. As the drama continues to unfold, one thing remains clear. Tiffany Henyard is not one to back down easily. Whether or not she will emerge victorious from this legal battle remains to be seen, but for now, her political future remains uncertain. Will this controversy mark the end of her career, or will she use it as a springboard for a comeback? Only time will tell. One thing is for sure, Tiffany Henyard's political journey is far from over, and she will likely continue to fight for her beliefs and her constituents. As the dust settles, observers are eager to see how she navigates the challenges ahead and whether she can turn this tumultuous chapter into an opportunity for growth and renewal.
32 minutes to an individual that doesn't give a damn about anybody's time but hers.
Tiffany Henyard's most devoted supporters remain hopeful that she can still mount a winning campaign, relying on her strong name recognition and loyal base. Despite the controversy surrounding her political career, her backers argue that her vocal supporters will ensure her continued relevance. They believe a write-in campaign could still be a viable option, pointing to the fact that many people recognize her name. To them, her recent defeat is simply another hurdle in what has been a long and turbulent political journey. However, Henyard's opponents see her loss as well-deserved. They argue that her career has been marred by scandal after scandal, with numerous allegations of reckless spending and misuse of township resources. Over the past year, reports have surfaced about Henyard's extravagant use of public funds, lavish vacations, expensive dinners, and first-class flights. These revelations have only fueled criticism, with many questioning how she could justify spending tens of thousands of taxpayer dollars on Amazon purchases, especially when so many of her constituents are struggling to make ends meet. Such accusations of financial mismanagement have only added to her already tarnished reputation. Critics argue that Henyard's leadership style has been harsh and combative, alienating both her colleagues and the very residents she was elected to serve. This was on full display at a recent Dolton Village Board meeting when she defiantly declared, "Like it or not, I am your mayor," despite growing discontent among those in attendance. The reaction was telling. Many in the crowd either walked out or turned their backs on her as she spoke, highlighting the deep divisions within the community. Under her leadership, Henyard's confrontational and authoritarian approach has only widened the rift between her and the people of Dolton. The dissatisfaction within the community has been further compounded by the ongoing leadership crisis within the Dolton Police Department. For much of the past year, the department has been without a permanent police chief, leaving it in a state of confusion and instability. When a judge ruled that Henyard's hand-picked interim police chief was unfit to serve, he was swiftly removed from office, further undermining her credibility. This debacle, coupled with reports of low morale within the police force, has raised serious concerns about Henyard's ability to govern effectively. Officers have reportedly been feeling overworked, unsupported, and demoralized as the department struggles without consistent leadership. This ongoing turmoil is just another example of her failure to provide stability and support for the community. As her tenure continues, many Dolton residents are feeling increasingly disillusioned and frustrated, believing they are not being adequately represented or protected. Despite these mounting challenges, Henyard's supporters remain steadfast, convinced that she can defy the odds and continue her political career. However, her opponents are far less optimistic. They view her recent defeat as a sign that her time in office may be coming to an end. The combination of ongoing scandals, her combative leadership style, and the instability within Dolton's police department has left many questioning whether Henyard can maintain her grip on power. The road ahead is undoubtedly filled with obstacles, and whether she can recover from these setbacks remains to be seen. One thing is certain, her ability to navigate these challenges will ultimately determine the fate of her political legacy.
Not let her get back and to be a mayor, and we already know she's not going to win that supervisor.
Tiffany Henyard's tenure as mayor of Dolton and her time as supervisor of Thornton Township have been marred by controversy, allegations of financial mismanagement, and growing public dissatisfaction. Adding to the turmoil are rising crime. Concerns in Dolton, which many residents attribute to Henyard's failure to allocate sufficient resources to law enforcement. The absence of consistent police leadership has only worsened the situation, leaving the community feeling increasingly vulnerable. Critics argue that instead of prioritizing public safety, Henyard has focused excessively on her own protection, reportedly, spending hundreds of thousands of taxpayer dollars on a personal police detail. This has fueled outrage, as residents question why their mayor receives such extensive security, while crime rates continue to climb in their neighborhoods. The controversy took an even darker turn with allegations that Henyard has weaponized the police department for political gain, using law enforcement as a tool to target her critics. Several local business owners have come forward with claims that they were subjected to police raids after refusing to contribute to Henyard's events. These accusations have sent shockwaves through the community, with some business leaders publicly denouncing her leadership, calling it an abuse of power and a betrayal of public trust. In the eyes of her detractors, Henyard is no longer fit to lead. Many believe she should not only step down as mayor, but also be barred from holding any future office in the township. However, the crisis extends beyond law enforcement. Her administration has also been accused of obstructing the flow of vital grant funds, stalling projects that could have benefited the community. With scandal after scandal piling up, the future of Henyard's political career remains uncertain. The growing discontent among residents, business owners, and local leaders suggests that her grip on power may be slipping. Whether she can survive these mounting challenges, or if this marks the end of her time in office, remains to be seen.